Hey everybody, it's Amy Nakos with your Castle Summit Real Estate and Amy Nakos Real Estate. How are you? I am bringing you our 2018 mountain trends for Summit County. As you can see, I have a lovely ski cover on the cover of this one. We have a lot of snow here in Summit County. This is winter 2019, so if you're looking to get out and get some turns in, it's time to be here. What I do with these trend reports is I try to give you an update of how not only our market in Summit County compares to other markets, but also to show you the changes that we've experienced in our market. So here's this slide right here shows how markets compare. We're comparing the Steamboat market to Eagle County, Vail, Summit County market, and then Grand County, which is Winter Park and Granby. What you can see, and I think the main thing to look at here is in Summit County, we have a much lower months of inventory than you'll see in Eagle County or Vail, similar to Winter Park and Granby. And our average months of inventory is 2.1 months. And what months of inventory means is if we continue to sell properties at the rate that we're selling them, all of our inventory will be absorbed in 2.1 months. Generally speaking, from 4 to 6 months is a balanced market where neither the seller nor the buyer has a distinct advantage. So we're definitely still in a seller's market here. This chart also describes our average pricing for condos, not all properties, just condos. You'll see in Breckenridge, we're at $750,000 for the average condo price, with Dillon down at $413,000. Couple things I want to point out here is the months of inventory you'll notice are a little bit higher in Copper and Silverthorne. Copper somewhat surprises me because I think this just happens to be a snapshot of the inventory that was on the market when we ran these stats at the end of 2018. Silverthorne has some new construction projects, so you'll be seeing in Silverthorne, Dillon, and Keystone, where we have new construction projects, that the months of inventory will start to creep up a little bit because those are still under construction and cannot be sold. So they will be on the market longer. We did see a nice big price jump in Copper of a 23% price increase over the trailing 12 months. So that's over a year ago. Don't think that everything in Copper went up 23% or that everything in Dillon went up 31%. I think what you're going to see is it happened to be a mix of what's sold on the market. The other numbers at 9, 8, and 14 is going to give you a more realistic expectation of the amount of appreciation we had over the last year. We're moving on to this slide on how the markets compare. I think here what's nice to know is that our average appreciation from 1992 to 2018 in Summit County is 6.9%. If you want to compare that to other markets, you can see here, Denver has appreciated 5.7 a year, Vail Valley 6.7, Grand County 6.1, with Steamboat at 3.6. Note that Steamboat only goes from 2006. That's all the data we have for that. So as you know, we're not necessarily getting 6.9% every year, but when you look at across the years, that's the average appreciation. This right here includes both detached and attached single family homes. So that means all of the properties that are residential in our marketplace. I really like this slide, and I like this slide to illustrate how our Summit County market trails the Denver market. So what I'm going to have you look at first is the Denver graph, and that's going to be the purple one. You'll see that it bottomed in 2008 and that it bottomed in 2011. Summit County, however, which is the green line, we bottomed in 2013. Showing that we trail the Denver market at least 2 years. Prior to the recession, and what I mean by the recession is the recession that happened in 2008, 2009, pretty much across the country, we didn't really see that recession hit our market until 2011, with prices really dropping to 2013. Prior to that, we would say that our market trailed Denver 12 to 18 months. After this recession, though, we're seeing it's more like 2 years, and it could have been the strength of the recession. So With that, if Denver starts to slide for whatever reason, if we see that pricing starts to drop there, we can anticipate that our prices will probably stay relatively strong or stable for at least a year, maybe 2 years after that. We're moving on, moving on to the next slide. This breaks down all of Summit County's markets individually: Breck, Copper, Dillon, Frisco, Keystone, Silverthorne, and then our market as a total. What you're going to see on this chart is if it's red, it's worse for sellers. If it's green, it's better for sellers. What we're noticing in all of the markets in terms of the number of units sold is that they're down. So most every market, Frisco was very close to last year. We're selling less property. Now, this chart's saying that's worse for sellers. Is it really worse for sellers? It might be better for sellers, because what we're seeing is that there's less inventory. And what that does is that brings up more competition and drives up the price. So you'll see across the markets that we're seeing price appreciation, less properties to sell, and it's just an inventory shortage. It's a sales, or it's a I'm blanking here, but it's a inventory, right? We don't have enough inventory. So prices go up, not enough to sell. Our next slide shows just our average price trends. What you'll see here is that we've broken this down. Everything is the purple line. The long-term trend is just a trend line, and green is condos. So again, our average annual appreciation, including the market correction, 6.9% every year since 1992 to current. And you'll see that from the drop, our average pricing dropped about 18% from our peak in 2008 down to our trough, I'll call it, in 2013. And now we've recovered those prices and even more. This is our number of properties sold. So this is our actual volume. At the recession, we lost 63% of our sales volume. So more than half, half the properties were selling at the recession time than it was previous. We're back, we've recovered. We don't have as many properties as we were selling in 2006. There was a lot of new construction properties on the market at that time. And you'll see 2014, 2015, 2016, all pretty stable in terms of the number of properties. 2018 has dipped down, and that's just a lack of inventory. This is a great slide to show you our average days on the market, average discount, and months of inventory. Days on the market, as days on the market get lower, it means that there's more competition. So in 2018, our average days on the market was only 50 days in all of Summit County. Our average discount went from 3% in 2008 and then all the way up to 6.5% when we were in 2011, 2012. We're back down to 2%. So what that means is that if you're asking your list price, let's say it's $100,000, our current average discount is 2%. So you would sell it for $98,000. We don't have any properties for $100,000, by the way. Average months of inventory, when you're below that dotted line, it is a seller's market, and our months of inventory is very low right now. Same story that we've been hearing for the last few years. We do have limited inventory, so if you are a seller and you're thinking of selling, it is a great time to consider putting your property on the market. We see a lot of properties come on the market in April and May, and so if that is something that you're interested in, please get in contact with me and we can talk about pricing for your property. Many clients who bought properties from me 5 to 7 years ago are now relisting them and making a handsome profit. Here's my information. If I can provide you any further information, I would love to chat with you. You can visit my website. You can email me. You can call. You can text. I guess I don't have my address for you to write me a letter, but that's okay. I look forward to connecting with you. And if there's any information I can provide you about a specific market like yours, perhaps you own a property in Breckenridge or Copper Mountain and would like more detailed information, I would love to get that to you. Have a great day. Thank you.